From our studio in Georgetown, this is the TV Delmarva Channel 14 News at 4.
Hello and thank you for tuning in to TV Delmarva Channel 14 News. Straight ahead, public hearings were held on a pair of House bills in Dover that focused on gun control. We get the reaction from both state representatives and members of the public who testified today. The State House fails to override Governor Carney's veto on legislation that would decriminalize marijuana in the first state. Reaction from proponents of the bill. And a New York man arrested on suspected burglary charges in Camden. What Delaware State Police are saying about the incident. These stories and more are coming up, but weather first with meteorologist Hunter Outen.
Hello and good Wednesday, Delmarva. Hope everyone is enjoying the plentiful sunshine this afternoon and the very warm temperatures as well. Taking a live look outside of TV Delmarva studios here in Georgetown. We have plenty of sunshine. There's a lot of puffy cumulus clouds out there, all thanks to that strong daytime heating that we are seeing this afternoon. But we are still watching out for the potential for some pop-up thunderstorms right along our immediate coastlines, all thanks to a sea breeze. But we're going to be keeping those warmer temperatures for the rest of this afternoon. Currently 87 degrees here in Georgetown. Take a look at satellite and radar. You can see those puffy cumulus clouds are pretty much across all areas of the mid-Atlantic states, but we are watching out for some thunderstorm activity across areas of Virginia. Now, this will eventually move into our area during the overnight hours tonight, and we could be looking at some fairly heavy rainfall and maybe even a few gusty winds at that. What I really wanted to show you is the sea breeze that we're watching out for in areas right along the immediate coast. You can actually see the sea breeze right on local Doppler radar with Viper 14, and once they start kind of intersecting each other, which might happen here soon across areas of southern Sussex County, we may see a pop-up thunderstorm in those areas, which could be producing maybe some occasional lightning here and there and some localized heavy rainfall, but it's got a 50-50 shot of whether it forms a storm or it stabilizes the entire atmosphere for the time being. But that is something we are watching out for going into the rest of this afternoon and evening before the real show happens overnight. Let's have a look at those conditions elsewhere on Delmarva this afternoon, and some locations here on Delmarva are getting fairly close to that 90-degree mark. Currently 89 for Salisbury, 88 degrees for Pocomoke City. Definitely noticeably cooler in Ocean City at 75 degrees, just on the east side of that sea breeze boundary. 86 for Easton, 85 for Centerville, 86 in Dover, and 85 degrees up north in Wilmington and Newark at this hour. Take a look at dew points on average. Dew points have been sitting into the mid-60s, but even higher the closer you get towards the Atlantic coast, where the dew point right now in Ocean City is at a nice soupy 72 degrees. Take a look at sustained winds across the region. Generally from the south and southwest, sustained about 5 to 10 miles per hour, but we have been seeing some wind gusts get up to about 15, and currently gusting from the south at 18 miles per hour in Ocean City, 11 for Pocomoke City, only 8 for Salisbury, in Georgetown 10 miles per hour in Centerville, and 15 miles per hour all the way up north in Newark. Now, we do have the chance for some thunderstorm activity during the overnight hours tonight with the chance of some heavy rainfall, but we will have some sunnier conditions to finish out the rest of this week before more rain chances are in the forecast this weekend. I'll have all the details regarding the heavy rain threat here in just a little bit.
Well, lawmakers in Dover heard public comment on a pair of House bills that would address calls for gun control in the wake of several mass gun shootings across the nation. House Bill 450 and 451 would ban certain assault weapons in Delaware, along with increasing the age to purchase a gun from 18 to 21, with certain exceptions. Comments were heard this morning in the House Administration Committee in Dover. House Speaker Pete Schwarzkopf spoke about his efforts to pass legislation.
We are witnessing things in this country that I never thought we would ever see. Just alone, in 10 days after Uvalde, we've had 21 mass shootings in this country alone. We've had over 246 mass shootings in 22 weeks in 2022. There are some things we can put in place. Raising the age from 18 to 21 is one of them. We keep these kids that are still making bad decisions for making the ultimate bad decision in purchasing a gun and going and using it. I have guns. I believe in the Second Amendment, but I also believe that there's a right by government to put certain laws in place.
It was a passionate and packed room for public comment on both sides of the aisle. Here are just some of the comments made today.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Leah Orchnick. I'm a pediatric psychologist with Nemours Children's Health and chair of the State Advocacy Committee with the Delaware Psychological Association, and I'm speaking on behalf of DPA. We support legislation that aims to prevent gun violence. Some opponents have focused on mental illness as the sole or primary cause of firearms-related deaths or mass shootings, but this is misleading. The U.S. does not have significantly higher rates of people with mental illness than other industrialized nations, but we do have more firearms than any other country, and research has shown that above any other predictor, it is this access to guns that leads to gun-related deaths.
My name is Stevie Keeley. I'm a resident in Wilmington, Delaware. I have a young child. She is well-versed in firearm safety, long guns, handguns, you name it. This kid's trained and safe with them. Who are you to tell my daughter, when she is considered an adult, that she is not going to be able to protect herself with any means that she is comfortable and she is trained in? Who are you to threaten her safety?
My name's John Rigby. I'm a resident of Delaware, and I'm also the father of 2 daughters, and I'm very concerned about the fact that while, yes, 18 to 20-year-olds create some crime, it's only a small amount of those that do so. And almost all of them are male. And basically, because a small portion of people are doing something wrong, you're depriving young women who are vulnerable of the ability to defend themselves. And yeah, they could have a shotgun, but most young women can't handle the recoil of a shotgun. I've trained a number of them, and they can't do it. So you're basically depriving them of the right to protect their lives.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Chambers. I'm from the city of Wilmington, Delaware. Wilmington represents about 7% of the state population. But last year, 2021, we accounted for over 50% of the shootings and the homicide. And unlike some of the folks, some of our legislators who dream about children dying, I actually had my child die on the street corner. So I'm a survivor. And I respond to every shooting and every homicide. And we need some real serious change in the gun law, and we need common sense. So I support House Bill 451. Thank you.
Now another bill, Senate Bill 6, was passed by the Senate yesterday that would ban the sale of large capacity magazine capable of holding more than 17 rounds and allow for a buyback program to purchase large capacity magazines currently in circulation. It was a bill touted by Governor John Carney and several Democratic state lawmakers who call it a major step forward to addressing gun violence. A 2018 study also found that as many as 36% of guns used in crimes and nearly 40% of guns used to commit serious violent crimes, including the murder of law enforcement officers, were equipped with large capacity magazines. At least 9 states and the District of Columbia have enacted laws banning large capacity magazines, including New York, New Jersey, and Maryland, all of which set their caps on magazine capacity at 10 rounds. We'll continue to follow this story and have updates as the bill progresses through the process on our website at tvdelmarva.com. Well, it was a disappointing end for marijuana legislation advocates in the first state as lawmakers voted no to overriding Governor John Carney's veto of House Bill 371. Now, the bill would have decriminalized possession of an ounce or less for anyone 21 or older. Governor Carney vetoed the bill on May 24th. House members voted yesterday to override the veto, but was short of the 3/5 majority vote needed by a 20-20 vote, with one abstaining. The Delaware Cannabis Policy Coalition called the vote, quote, devastating, and issued a statement saying, quote, it's looking like the first state might not listen to voters and end the racist war on marijuana until it has a new governor. However, this is an election year, and it'll be important to get as many solid supporters of legislation in the House as possible, end quote. A New York man was arrested on felony burglary charges after police say he tried to break into the house of a Camden couple who called 911 after they caught him urinating on their front lawn. According to Delaware State Police, troopers responded to the 400 block of Wheatley's Pond Road in Clayton on Monday night for an attempted burglary complaint. When police arrived, they learned that the suspect had tried to make their way inside the home through the garage but was unsuccessful. A 51-year-old female victim who was home at the time was alerted to the motion of the garage and saw the suspect urinating on her front lawn, according to police. Officers confronted the suspect, and he was leaving the house, which police say caused him to drop the stolen items and run. Officers gave chase and successfully took the suspect, later identified as 29-year-old Daryl Nasser of New York, into custody. Nasser was found to be in possession of approximately 1.88 grams of marijuana, and police say further investigation revealed he had made entrance through an unlocked door and removed jewelry and electronics from within the home. All of the stolen items were recovered. He faces several charges, which you can view on our website, tvdelmarva.com. He was lodged at Sussex Correctional Institute on $35,000 cash bond. Well, coming up in our national news story, South Korea and U.S. diplomats are urging North Korea to refrain from military provocations. The details straight ahead when we continue. Well, Pyongyang, the capital of North Korea, has conducted 18 rounds of ballistic missile launches this year alone. South Korea and U.S. diplomats are urging North Korea to refrain from military provocations. U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Wendy Sherman warned there would be a, quote, forceful and swift response if North Korea pushes ahead with a nuclear test. The South would consider imposing additional sanctions against North Korea if the country conducts a nuclear test. South Korea and U.S. officials say there are signs that North Korea is also pressing ahead with preparations at its nuclear testing ground in the Northeast. North Korea's next nuclear test would be its 7th since 2006 and its first since September of 2017. Well, it was slightly humid today, but there's rain in the forecast. Let's get a preview of your pinpoint weather forecast with meteorologist Hunter Alton.
Showers and storms will be on the increase once we get into the overnight hours tonight, and some of that rain may be heavy at times, which could lead to some low-lying flooding concerns into tomorrow morning. Now the good news is the sun should return in the afternoon hours before more rain chances are on the table for the start of this coming weekend. Now, how will these storms impact your morning travel commute? I'll let you know when we come back here on TV Delmarva, Channel 14 News. Alrighty, Delmarva, let's get right into the pinpoint forecast for the overnight hours into the day on Thursday, because we're going to be looking at some noisy conditions throughout the overnight hours tonight. Reason being is we're going to be watching out for some areas of some rounds of thunderstorms, with some of those storms could produce some rain that is fairly heavy at times as well, with a mild night in store of 70 to 74 degrees, with a light south wind between 5 and 10 miles per hour. Now, from the Storm Prediction Center, areas northwest of Georgetown and Salisbury, stretching all the way back towards Frederick, Maryland, you're under a marginal risk of severe weather this evening, a level 1 out of 5 risk. For maybe some of these thunderstorms may be containing some strong gusty winds at times, but that's not even really the biggest threat out of these storms this evening. It's going to be the rainfall. Here's the forecasted precipitable water amounts for the overnight hours. Anytime we start seeing these values get to 2 inches or above, that's a good indication there's a lot of moisture into the atmosphere, and a lot of these storms could be producing some fairly heavy rainfall rates of 1 to 3 inches per hour. And in coordination with the Weather Prediction Center, they do have a highlighted risk of a slight risk for areas of Georgetown, Salisbury, all the way up towards Wilmington, Newark, stretching back towards Washington, D.C. for the threat of some flooding concerns once we get into the overnight hours tonight. Here's the generalized forecasted rainfall amounts over the next 48 hours. On average, ½ inch to about a full inch of rain is expected across the region tonight. Now, there's going to be pockets of locally higher amounts as well, especially where thunderstorms are present. So we could be looking at 1 inch, maybe 2 inches, and God forbid anything higher than that, which could lead to some localized flooding concerns during the overnight hours tonight into tomorrow morning. Now let's get right into that futurecast. Rest of the overnight hours into the day on Thursday. This is 8 o'clock this evening. We're looking like we are still having temperatures into the low lower 80s with some partly cloudy skies. But looking over towards the west, we're starting to see some thunderstorm activity stretching right around the Washington, D.C. metroplex. And then once we get into 1 o'clock in the morning, we're starting to see some thunderstorm activity across areas of central Delmarva as our temperatures are falling into the low and mid 70s. And then going into 5 o'clock in the morning, we got more waves in the areas of scattered thunderstorms. Temperatures still holding steady into the lower 70s. But the good news is once we get into the mid-afternoon hours, we're actually going to be looking at the sun returning for areas of central and northern Delmarva as our temperatures are warming up to about 80 degrees by this time. And then for the mid-afternoon hours, now there may be a little bit of a redevelopment of an isolated shower here and there, but temperatures are going to be a few degrees cooler than what they are today, getting into the mid-80s. And then by the evening hours, we're going to be constantly seeing a decrease in those clouds from northwest to southeast as the temperatures are still fairly comfortable right around 10 o'clock at 72 degrees here in Georgetown. Take a look at the Thursday forecast overall. Scattered showers, especially during the morning hours with the sun returning in the afternoon. Another warm day in store as well. 80 to 85 degrees, and the breeze will be kicking up once again from the southwest between 15 and 20 miles per hour. Take a look at the allergy index for Thursday, and surprisingly, we're going to be looking at some fairly low levels, only a 3.3 out of 12 on that scale, and the only allergen right now is from grass pollen. Now we're going to switch gears and take a look at the marine conditions for your Thursday. For the Atlantic coast, we got scattered morning showers, 77 degrees, winds from the southwest at 15 to 20 miles per hour with some little bit higher seas, about 3 to 4 feet. And still with the sunshine returning in the afternoon, make sure I have the sunblock handy with that UV index of around 9. Take a look at the Delaware Bay, scattered morning showers, 75 degrees, winds from the southwest at 15 miles per hour, with seas of less than 1 foot expected. And then at Chesapeake Bay, scattered morning showers, 82 degrees, winds from the west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour, and seas of less than 1 foot as well for the Chesapeake Bay. Now, going into the overnight hours, we're going to be looking at a fairly nice night going into tomorrow night. Decreasing clouds, becoming mostly clear, and some nice comfortable temperatures as well. 60 to 64 degrees with the winds calming down and turning towards the west at about 5 miles per hour. Now let's take a look at that extended outlook because we still do have some rain chances still to get through over the next couple of days going into tomorrow morning, but the sun will be returning. We do get a break on Friday, partly sunny, 81 degrees, but more rain is in the forecast going into Saturday. Actually have an 80% chance of showers and some noticeably cooler temperatures too, only getting to about 73 degrees. But for the second half of the weekend, we are going to be looking at a drier weather pattern. The temperatures getting back to near 80 degrees. And then we have a slight warming trend for the early portions of next week, continuing with those partly sunny skies and temperatures in the mid-80s.
Coming up, Cape Henlopen High School students get their yearbooks, but with a glaring misspelled word. The full story when we come back. Well, it's always an exciting time of the year when high school students get their yearbooks to relive their memories down the road, but this year's books will be a most memorable one for Cape Henlopen High School students due to a typo on the cover. Check this photo out. Here's a photo posted by a parent, John Gardowski, on Facebook, with the town of Lewis hilariously misspelled on the spine of the cover. At least they got the pronunciation right, I guess. Now we reached out to several parents who say they don't blame the school for the misprint, but the printing company. Now we also reached out to the Cape Henlopen School District for comment, but have not received a response. But a spokesperson told Delaware Online today that they're working with the publisher to correct the mistakes, and they distributed the books so the tradition of getting signed by teachers and other students before the end of the school year could commence. Now, according to parents we spoke to today, the yearbooks cost $85 this year. That's quite the costly mistake.
Weather Classroom is sponsored by No Nonsense Office Machines, committed to providing quality products and services with over 15 years of experience here in Sussex County. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today's weather lesson, we will be talking about an interesting cloud type known as flumen clouds. Could also be known as something called a beaver tail cloud as well. Translated from Latin meaning river, the flumen cloud accessory is found only in the cumulonimbus cloud type. No other type of cloud besides cumulonimbus clouds can be paired with such as a flumen cloud accessory. Flumen clouds get their name from appearing as a river of moisture that flows into the main base of a cumulonimbus cloud. Nicknamed the beaver tail clouds because of their flat, wide appearance, these types of cloud formations are usually found paired with the very strong thunderstorms and or supercells. In relation to the other cloud features and accessories, finding a good example of flumen cloud formation doesn't happen very often. Traveling to Tornado Alley during the storm season will increase your chances of seeing one of these rare types of clouds. They are a type of inflow band, which is a name used for a stripe of moisture that feeds into and provides fuel to a thunderstorm. When trying to identify a flumen cloud formation, don't confuse them with tail clouds. Both clouds are types of an inflow band, but the cauda cloud feature is found attached to the storm's wall cloud, while the flumen cloud accessory can be significantly larger and higher in altitude, where it feeds into the updraft of a supercell thunderstorm.
Well, let's get one last check of the weather with Hunter. Are we expecting this humidity to stick around?
Well, Jonathan, unfortunately, the humidity is going to be staying around just for a little bit, especially once we get into the overnight hours tonight, with threat for some rounds of thunderstorms, and some of these storms could contain some heavy rain as well, and that's going to be keeping the humidity up tonight, with temperatures only dropping down into the lower 70s. But the good news is, once we get into Thursday, we're going to be looking at some showers for the morning commute, but the sun will be returning by the afternoon hours, and we start to see the humidity beginning to drop just a little bit, with temperatures getting back into the lower 80s for the highs. But it's going to be a little bit breezy, though, with that southwest breeze, only at about 15 to 20 miles per hour. So make sure to keep that umbrella handy and hold onto it pretty tight once you get into the day on Thursday.
All right, thank you, Hunter, and thank you for tuning in to TV Delmarva, Channel 14 News. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at TV Delmarva and our website, tvdelmarva.com, for real-time news and updates throughout the day. I'm Jonathan Mistrott reporting. Have yourself a great evening.